As always, don't forget to check the video description down below for the best price on parts and tools I use in today's video. Today, I'm going to show you what it looks like to diagnose a crank no start situation for the 2010 Dodge Avenger, second generation, which runs from 2007 to 2014. And again, this is if you turn your key, you hear the starter spinning over, and the car does not fire up. Where do you start? And that's what you'll know by the end of this video. Okay, so let's check this thing out. Now, first of all, I want to let you know the most common things. You turn the key, you hear the starter spin over, and it is not firing up. The most common things is a crank no start is going to be your crank sensor, your cam sensor, your fuel pump, or security light. Okay, so first thing I do, go ahead and just take your key, hop up in here, and this customer car today has actually just had a bad battery, but I'm walking you through all this stuff. So you go ahead, turn your key on, and then look on in here and see if you can see like a flashing security light, like a little key or something. And on this one, I don't. If you do have a flashing security light and you're spinning it, security light's on, then the car is making sure that you do not start it. So you're not going to get around that without actually fixing it. I'd recommend taking it to the dealership because it's not something your do-it-yourselfer can normally take care of. Other thing, another little caveat, if you just bought your car and you're making payments on your car, they can install a no start device if you miss a payment. I've had 2 customers before I went out there, looked for a long time, come to find out they just didn't make their payments, and the device is causing the car not to start. And next, so we got that taken care of now. Cam sensor, crank sensor. Thing is buried. I think the crank sensor is buried, if I'm not mistaken, on the backside. I'm gonna throw a picture up of that real quick because that's more common than a cam sensor. So I know you saw that. I know it wasn't that great of pictures, but this is not a crank sensor video. This is just giving you the idea. Now, how do you know if it's a crank sensor or a cam sensor? Well, if your car is not giving you spark or fuel injector signal, the crank sensor and cam sensor are responsible for those things. It just depends on how it works, which one's responsible for what, and sometimes you replace both of them and that takes care of it. Okay, so these are your fuel injectors right here. Okay, so first I'm gonna show you how to check the signal. This is your like a Noid light. So what you do is you plug these into the end of your plug right here, and the way you disconnect this is you'd come over here with like a little pick. You're gonna push, it'll pop up, and then you squeeze and pull up, and then to put it back on, you're gonna stick that back on there, and it'll click back on there. So you've got your connector off, and then you have got, so I'm gonna take this one right here, and what you do is you plug them in, boom, like so, and you'll set it right there. And then with somebody else trying to crank the car, you'll watch. If this thing lights up, you'll know, hey, I have fuel injector signal. If it does not, then you'll know, hey, I probably have bad crank or cam sensor. You can also pull these off, and it's more important if you have spark plugs and plug wires and there could be a bad distributor, because that's how you can isolate whether it's ignition or fuel injector signal. If you have a distributor that's went bad and you check spark on all of these and you don't get spark, you know, hey, I got this bad distributor, and you still have fuel injector signal. But on a lot of these, fuel injector signal and ignition signal, they're both pretty similar. A lot of times your crank sensor, cam sensor will run both of those. So you don't have to. I pulled out a spark checker. It's gonna look something like this. There's other ones. There's ones that look like little spark plugs that have clips, and you just clip on to something negative. This one's like an inline one where you'd plug this ignition coil onto here, and then you'd plug, I think it had a plug, mine ripped off, for the spark plug, and you just kind of plug it in, do the same thing, spin it over, the light lights up, you know, hey, I have ignition signal. So that is how you determine crank sensor, cam sensor. Might as well try both. If you're doing it yourself, you order them online. They're like 15 bucks a piece probably. Now, the next thing is very dangerous, so be very, very careful. This one particularly has a it's a good candidate for blowing up. I've blown up, I think 2 in my history of doing this. I think I caught one on fire. And this is carb cleaner, but you're supposed to use starter fluid. I'm not gonna do this because there's no need for the unnecessary risk, but you can come from up here. You might have a lot of fluid sitting down there, which again is going to be potential for fire or explosion. You might, if you can, you might come down here, open it up. And when I'm saying open it up, I'm talking about unloosen this, pull the hose off, or come down here, unloosen that, pull the hose off, and then pull the throttle plate back, and then stick it in there, and then no more than 2 Mississippis. So push down 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, boom, that's it. That's going to help you prevent an explosion or fire. If you try like 5 times, you got 10 Mississippis in there, that's when it'll blow up and you'll have fires. Just be very, very careful. I'm not technically advising you to do this because it's very dangerous, and also be prepared for the backfire pop. Sounds like a gunshot. It'll scare you if you're not ready for it. Now, if you do that and it does start up, you know, it's a good chance you have a bad fuel pump, because if it's getting fuel, then it's starting. If it's not, then it's not. So fuel pump's most common. Another thing could be a fuel pressure regulator. You just might not be getting the right pressure. I don't see the regulator on this one. A lot of times they're sitting like right up here. But that's another possibility. So that is pretty much it, guys. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Those are the most common things we see all the time, and that is gonna be it. So if this helped you guys, please throw that like up there, and don't forget to subscribe, and thank y'all so much, and I'll catch you next time.